Good morning, early birds, and thanks for joining us ahead of time. We are very close to kicking off. We're going to kick off in about 5 minutes, and I am really looking forward to this one because it's going to be a really good deep dive into how to do digital the right way. So you've got 5 minutes. So if you want to grab coffee, tea, whatever your poison is, and sit tight, we'll kick it off very, very soon. So I'll speak to you soon. Hey everybody, welcome to Friday's Insight webinar or Insight Masterclass with myself and Daniel Brown from Newcastle Financial Planning Group. In around about 5 minutes, we're going to be diving deep onto, the title says it all, how Daniel has approached digital marketing and how he managed to bring in 122 clients from digital within 12 months. So we're going to kick off very, very shortly. So sit tight and I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to everyone who's just joining us. We're about 3 minutes away from the curtain call. I don't know if you can call it a curtain, given it's maybe a digital curtain. And I'm really looking forward to sort of chatting to Daniel and really understanding how he's made digital marketing work for him. As you can see, he's had quite a result. So it's going to be a really good deep dive. As I said, I've got about 3 minutes, maybe 2 minutes right now. And most importantly, this is an interactive webinar. So if there are certain things that you'd like to know or ask or dive into, the chat box is there. I'm going to be pulling questions from there. And the better the questions, the better the conversation. So while you're out there, just have a bit of a think about what are the things that you think would be most useful to learn about digital marketing, how to make it work for advice firms, and a whole bunch more. And we will kick off certainly. Greg, mate, thanks for the message. No problem at all. And I'll speak to you guys in just under 2 minutes. Hey, welcome to those who are just coming in now. We are going to kick off in about 60 seconds. So this is your chance to grab that last cup of cha. Have a think about what you want to know and what you want to ask, because we're going to have a really good interactive conversation. So give me about 30 seconds, and then we're going to I don't know, there's an analogy like rubber hit the road or get this show on the road or something like that. So I'll speak to you in just a second. Hey there, ladies and gents. It is just after 10 o'clock. So let's get this show on the road. Stuart Bell here, and I'm your, host today for one of our Insight Masterclasses. And I'm really, really looking forward to this one in particular. The background story to this is just over 6 weeks ago, maybe a little bit longer, I had the opportunity to go over to the Philippines. I got the opportunity to meet up with Jennifer for the first time ever in person, who looks after our back office, which is an absolute treat. But on top of that, I got to go over and speak at a event run by Virtual Business Partners, who are one of the largest and I'd say probably most successful outsourcing companies that support financial advisors in Cebu, in the south of the Philippines. But while I was there, I ran a couple of sessions and I spoke to two people who had a really big impact on me. Sherry Cusack was the first one. We sat down and started talking about systematization and technology. And I don't know if you have that experience where you're talking to someone and you realize that you're not having a sort of coaching conversation or a conversation where you're sharing information in a one way. You're essentially comparing notes. I was talking to someone who really, really, really knew how to do it and do it well. This was a real strength. The second one was Daniel. And we just got chatting, sat down as we were, and we got talking about marketing and how to do it and how not to do it and the role that digital plays and funnel and all of the sort of misconceptions people have when it comes to not just to marketing online, but also marketing advice online. And very quickly, what became clear is that Daniel was one of those people in the industry who really knew this stuff. Diving deeper, he'd made an active decision at some point that he was not going to sort of just understand marketing or find somebody just to take it over, but he was going to get to the heart of it, because marketing is one of those weird things. It seems really simple. Like, you know, at a high level, you think, how hard can it be? And then when you dive deep, you realize it is simple, but it's also devilishly hard, because ultimately it's about understanding how people feel and think and approach things and being able to articulate that. And it gets nuanced, while at the same time, at the top level, the best marketing is by definition simple. So today I wanted to have a conversation with Daniel. And as you can see, the real thing I want to dive into and unpack is how he's done it, because the results he's got from marketing and the way he's approached it, I think is really useful for anybody out there who is either thinking of getting into marketing, you know, digital marketing and making this a big part of it. Alternatively, maybe you're on that journey and you're finding it difficult, or you're trying to, you know, work it out, or maybe you're well progressed, but you're looking for ways to kind of really bump it up. So that's the scope of today. And I hope this is going to be useful and you're going to take a lot out of it. Before we do, I just want to kick off. I want to make sure everything's working right. So do me a favor. If you can see my slide, the audio is good and everything's, you know, working as it should, just type over the chat box and type in good to go, or G to G, or I'm okay, I'm ready to rock, whatever it might be. And that'll be my cue for Tom's got a good to go. Paul, welcome, all good. Alan, good to go, great. Matt's ready, Carl's ready, working. Let the rubber hit the road, Justin, love it, man. Daniel, perfect. Okay, one more thing. I'm a real visual person. So I'd love to know, do me a favor, just type in the box, what's the thing you can see right now when you look ahead of you? What can you see? I just want to get a picture of where everybody is, whether you're, you know, at the beach or if you're driving the car, ignore what I've just said, because you shouldn't be typing on your phone. If you're in the office, I just want to know where you are, you know, what your view is, what you're looking at. Daniel's looking at 2 more screens. Matthew's got a blank wall. Dude, let's get a painting on that wall or something. Zoraida, beautiful. Fresh leaves on a tree. You got the right idea. 4 walls, says Paul. It sounds like we need to get some paintings up. Ivy pool bar. Nicely done, Justin. A police station, Tom. Interesting. Hope you're not in the police station, but it's cool if you are. Coastal office. Nice. Coastal office is David. Carl is in the office. Daryl's got a computer screen in front of him. Alan, trees and buildings from my balcony. Beautiful. Home walls. Always working from home is a lot of fun. Palm trees outside the offices. Justin, man, I love where you work. Kevin Smith, awesome co-working space. Out the window, says Michael. Grey skyline. You know what? I'm looking right here at a wind event that's on top of the roof outside. And I realized it looks like an unimpressed mushroom head, kind of great. And I can't not see it anymore. Right. That's awesome. Keep the conversations going. If there's something you want to share, there's a question you want to get, let's get this going and really get what you want out of this, because I think that's the most useful thing. So without any further delay, let me just bring up Daniel, because you know what? He's been doing this a while. The more I speak to him about, the business he's built over a period of time, the fact that he's now up for 2 awards, and frankly, some of the plans he's got and the way he's thinking about it, I'm impressed. So Daniel, let's pull you off, bring you up. Let's unmute you, get your video started. Let's get this show on the road. Are you there, man?
I'm here, Stu.
How are you, sir? Let's get your video going. How are you doing there?
Yeah, I'm good. Good, thanks, Stu. Morning.
Welcome. Where are you, by the way?
I'm in Newcastle, the Junction.
I love Newcastle. I came up there recently, and every time I go there, it just seems to change and get bigger and bigger and better and better.
We're lucky. We just moved the office down to street level. So it's, when you ask what am I looking at, it's from people looking for their Friday drug hit to getting their morning coffee.
Mate, as a business I work with based down in Miranda, and they've got a boardroom, but it's got I guess it's one way glass. So it's all shiny outside, and we're having these coaching meetings, and people will wander around and they'll go, and it's just, you can't keep a straight face. So I personally love people watching. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I do.
Dude, we first met in Cebu, which was a phenomenal, I really enjoyed the experience. It was great to chat to you and various other people. But normally I'd start these by talking about history and what's happened, but I want to start at the end of this, because it's such a, the thing when you dropped on the table, I was like, so you're doing digital marketing. Yeah. How have you gone? And you went, yeah, about 122 clients over the last 12 months. And I was like, stop, let's go back to there. Give us the story in behind the number. 122 clients from digital. How did that happen?
Yes, I guess it was a build-up, and it continues today. So even I think I said that this morning we're probably getting about 15 to 20 new clients a month. So it really snowballed as the year went on.
Okay.
I guess we kept investing and changing and reviewing the results and saying, how do we do it better? By the end of, in June alone, I think we had 36 inquiries. So June was their best month, and also understanding the analytics of when people are looking.
And by the way, I think we've got your marketing guys on the call, haven't we? Jackie and Cameron?
Carmen, yeah. So
Carmen, beg your pardon.
They're our partners in the marketing. So they hold, I'd say vice versa, but probably me. They hold me accountable because I've always got random ideas and trying to change strategy. But very, very valuable resource and great at what they do.
Well, great. Well, they're watching, so we'll give them a big up. Guys, thanks for coming, and hopefully we're going to sort of share a bit of what you guys do as well. So just give us the background. 36 inquiries. Let's do the analytics. What channels are you using to generate those? Yeah,
so I guess a few things we do is, one, we get try to add, to start, we add value to our business partners, so that includes recording videos of them and adding value, so we get them sharing that on their social media platforms as well, and encourage them to do that. Secondly, we're using our goal is to do weekly content on Facebook with a boost to certain areas. We used to be able to target. That's a little bit loose now. Third, we've got a website, which is we make sure it's number one in the SEO, hence the names that we use, or the brands. Fourth would be the Google AdWords campaigns that we run, and continuing to review those analytics.
Okay.
That's been probably and then the number one thing out of all that is writing content that people want to read. People don't buy the process, they buy the outcome. So I taught myself how to write content, which I thought I used to fail at English. So this is weird, writing content, but that's what I now do. So I often get an idea and just start to record it in my phone. I just wrote 3 articles in like about 3 hours the other day, and try to make it and keep reviewing. So the more personal we get in the content, the better the reaction is from the inquiries. So to the point.
Okay, so we got some really good stuff to chat about there. And in particular, we had a conversation about, I love really good content. And I want to dive into this in a little while, because I think there's so much people put content out there and they don't really do enough. They do the hard work and sit down and writing, and they don't think about, what do people want to read? But
That's right.
Let's take it back to the beginning. Because you've been doing this, is it 15 years?
Since 03, so 16 years.
Okay, talk us through the beginning of your journey of Newcastle Financial Group. The Daniel Brown Begins prequel movie.
Okay, like Star Wars. So effectively, I worked for a fund manager, and then I decided my uncle owned a business here, and he said, you need to go out and learn about sales. So I went out and taught myself sales, which gave me a lot of confidence. So in 2003, started working with him. I guess he's effectively my first mentor, which I probably learned both good and bad. But the number work ethic was one of the good things, and also the ability just to connect with people. So I think really listening and understanding what people want, nothing that other advisors would be doing, but I really wanted to make that a strength. So I guess what I've come to learn, the fundamentals of any business will only succeed if you've got you're good at sales. You've got to have a brand that represents you from the inside to the outside, and marketing. If you get all that right, you're going to have a successful business. So he taught me sales well and truly. And then in 2010, we bought that business off him, effectively merged it and grew it again. We offered multiple services. I was a partner in that. We grew it to about 36 people. And then I decided to leave.
Okay.
Do it my own, because I was going to keep it, I guess, boutique. So I did that for a year, and I think in that year I just went out and saw people. I think I generated 50, I can't remember the number now, 54 or 56 SOAs running a one-man band. I'm like, yeah, this is fun, but what do I do next? And then I had a coach at the time, and he goes, if you want to go from a 6 or 7 figure income, each time you got to reincarnate yourself. So I wrote a business plan about symbiotic. Everything's got to be mutually beneficial.
Love it.
Started to grow it. So now we're 3.5 years in. We're 3 offices, 25 people. We've got a team 6 in Cebu, and our plans are done in Sri Lanka with another 5. And it's only how much I want to grow it now. So I've actually just, as we're talking marketing, the Central Coast office in particular just keeps coming. So we've turned all the marketing off effectively.
Okay.
We've got too many leads coming in.
That's a terrible, terrible problem to have. And just
I feel like an idiot saying it now. Why did I turn it off?
No. It's because, I mean, you would know that growth is good, but too much growth will kill a business. That's the whole reincarnation thing. One of the things I do every year is I sit down, and you may have done the same thing, and I go, right, what's my target? What's my reasonable target for the year, and what would the business have to look like? And then I double it, and then I double that, and then I double that. And there comes a point in that process where the business breaks. The model will no longer, usually about the 5th iteration, the business model will no longer work. And that's the point at which you've got to go, okay, I'm going to get to that point. Where's the transition? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I guess what we've gone is created the width. And now my thing is let's create the depth. Let's really build those client relationships. And we've got multiple businesses that we're running. So trying to get the cross referrals happening is a cheaper option at the moment than having to continue to get the leads in. But we've had, which I never thought was possible, we've had people walking in our door and booking meetings, because we just ran a campaign. We're in an old bank. We ran a campaign about your bank has sacked you, and that worked as well. So then we've had literally people booking meetings.
Fantastic. So give me a bit of a profile of who do you work? And you mentioned there are multiple areas you provide advice. Give me an idea of this, the problems you help solve for people.
Yeah, so we've got 10 advisors, or I think it's 10. Yeah, 10, and they range from we've now got an insurance specialist we've brought in who was at one of the banks working in the key man buy sell area, through to an aged care specialist, and then we've got the younger advisors doing the super insurance. So I offer, if someone says something, I'll say, well, from cradle to grave, we've got you covered.
And any particular type of clients that you work with? Like, who do you find is a typical?
Yes, I like to say that we're not. I believe the industry is heading in this direction, and I'm trying to play my goal is to play the game of where we're going to be in 18 months, not where we are. Right. And I think I really want to promote that we're not a generalist. I don't think there's no time for being a generalist anymore. We're going to have a team of specialists. So I encourage each of the advisors, we call them marketing avatars,
Yeah.
to write who they ideally want to work with. Then we get them to write about, they all write content too now. So we write content about those areas they want to work in. And then on our website, we're only sort of focusing on 2 or 3 areas of advice, but those each individual advisor will have those 3 to 4 areas that they really want to focus in. Because if they're passionate about those areas of advice, there's no use making someone who wants to do retirement advice work in insurance. So
yeah,
and that gets them out of that builds a really good culture, which has been good feedback by the 2 new advisors we've brought in. They never experienced anything like it, where they just got the freedom because of our structure behind the scenes, that they just see people, they get to see their ideal client, they get to have the flexibility, and everything else is done for them offshore. So,
love it. Let me ask about, because I think it's fair to say that you are probably in a minority of advisors who decided to go down and become a marketing expert. A lot of businesses, they would much rather just outsource it and let someone else be good at it. What was the decision process? What was the point in your life that you went, no, I'm gonna learn how to market this and master it?
So I'd had an active role in the previous business in the marketing, but it wasn't my area. My area was to see clients, and I guess I'd built a relation, being able to, in that year 1 of starting again in 2016, I just generated all the referrals. But if I had stopped getting those referrals, the business stops. So that's not a business; it's just a job. So what I wanted to challenge myself is figure out how to write content, build a marketing strategy that reflects. And then I knew all the tools, I just wasn't doing it. So I knew how important branding was. I know how to get to number 1 on the SEO. That's easy. So why not try and do it? So that was my challenge.
I love it. A good friend of mine, Tristan Bond, who's a coach who works with sort of healthcare practices. He once turned around to me and said, Stu, most businesses up to $1 million are a marketing problem. And after $1 million, they're a leadership problem. So if you haven't mastered your marketing, you haven't literally mastered your growth.
Yep.
Which means you're at the hold. I love that. So tell me the first steps. I mean, how did you start out? Where do you start? And I mean, did it come to you naturally to begin with, or did you have a couple of stumbles and falls and wrong turns?
One of the best learnings was we ran a campaign about pre-30 June about super and contributions. And again, that's process driven. People don't buy that stuff. They buy the outcome. They want to know, talking about what are they going to do spending their retirement is far more engaging for someone. And talking about property and self-managed super fund might not lead them there, but that's the hot buttons that people want to talk about. And not say that doesn't end up being the outcome, but often we have to think about how do we get them into the office versus what are the end result. But the first thing is that I needed to have a brand that I was proud of, that reflected what my vision was. So we went about recreating the brand, that from the colors to the fonts to having a style guide. So everyone is on brand. So in the end, now people are buying the brand. The brand becomes more important than the individual.
So how big was the business when you went, right, we're going to do proper style, font, imagery? How big was it? When was this?
So it's probably 2 years ago now.
Okay.
So probably would have been, 2 or 3 advisors, maybe 4 or 5, a team of 6 or 7.
Okay. So, I mean, most people think of the branding exercise as being a big business thing, but you guys, you weren't a small business, but you weren't as big as you are now.
No way. Yeah. So the lesson I got was, the coaches I've seen as branding by association, and I'm like, I don't know, is that going to work for me? But in the end, and the brand too, like you don't realize when you start to look around and understand branding a bit more, like do we want to be like the Audi? Do we want to be of the car industry, or do we want to be the Hyundai? How do clients perceive us when they walk in our office? Our website and our people, the website, the office, and the people all need to be the same.
So let's do a little exercise. If you are familiar or you've been to Daniel's website, what do you think the intention was to be, which brand? An Audi or a Hyundai or a Mercedes? Type it in the chat box. It'd be an interesting little experiment, right?
Okay.
Let me know. Where do you think? Should we do the car comparison thing?
Okay.
So where do you think it is? An Audi? Is it a Mercedes? Is it a Hyundai? This is your cue to grab that chat box, guys, and give us a bit of feedback. Big red Audi, says Tom. I don't think I've ever seen a big red Audi, but thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. Come on, guys, give me a bit. Kia Optima, VW, says David. Love it. Cheers, David. Alan, love it. Give me two more. People are probably furiously looking at the website now. Mercedes, says Carl. Nicely done. Thank you, Carl. One more. By the way, any of these hit the mark? Smart Euro car. Daniel, what were you aiming for? Euro subtle class. Love that, Paul. Julie, thank you. What were you aiming for?
Oh, yeah. So we went through a process, and I guess right. We had, it was, we did like from magazines to cars to people, celebrities. So and so that was a process. Whilst at first you go, that's an expensive process to go through. It was really good because we brought in different people in the business. Yeah, and now effectively that sort of not only is what we represent external, it's how we make decisions. So if we're going to be a premium brand, like, and something goes wrong, you just refund them the money, as an example. You don't argue with the person. Like, it's sort of like the culture is also underpinned by your brand.
I agree, mate. It's funny you should mention this because it seems silly, but it's the same deal. When we started, I went out and I put this together, a little bit about who we are. I don't know if that looks like it's frozen, but that whole thing about if our dairy was a person, what would they be? All the way down to words and phrases we use, imagery we like, colors, fonts, and logos, who we admire, that kind of stuff. I think it's a really useful thing because a lot of people talk about getting clear on your strategy and your purpose, but if you're not clear on your personality of your business and the look and feel, it's going to vary all over the place, and it doesn't give you that really strong foundation. So I totally agree. That's awesome. Thank you.
Same with color. Like, my wife is actually done color consulting. So understanding color and what that means to people and to their unconscious mind. And like, we bought a house the other day, and it's from a local real estate agent, probably one of the better known ones. And then they gave the bottle of wine they gave us to celebrate was a bottle of perhaps the world's finest Oyster Bay. Like, it's just like, that damages your brand versus upholding, like, it will cost an extra $20 to buy, say, a nice bottle of champagne. I
bought an Audi a few years ago, and they still send me every, member thing, or it's in my wife's name. And I'm just like, if she didn't buy the car, you failed immediately. You spent all this money and you couldn't even get the name right. I agree. It's so easy to make mistakes. And yeah. Dude, so the branding came first. Talk to me a bit about how if someone's out there and they're watching this and they're thinking, I suck at writing or I suck at video, tell me how you got good.
Firstly, the first part or to write content, if we're talking about that, was to just start writing and read and write what you feel that you're passionate about. What do they enjoy when they come in for a client meeting? And I started to write about that. So one of the terms I've used regularly is getting retirement ready. Whereas if someone says just an easy switch on language from let's do some retirement planning. Well, that's such a bad way. Instead of using budgeting, talk about a spending plan. When you write an article, a little trick to that content is you've got to try, if you can write the word, either a negative headline or the number needs to relate to the first or letter. So it'd be like 6 steps to success, 5 fundamental, like, it's got to relate. The number, you try and use a number in the headline that relates to the letter. That's another simple thing that I learned. So it's like marketing 101. And it grabs people's attention, and then writing content that's relevant. So we have young professionals and the pre-retirees are sort of the Facebook users and social media users. So, and Facebook's, if you look at the analytics, Facebook is one of the posts popular for that retirement, getting ready for retirement. So a lot of our articles are written around that.
Can you give me an example, in your mind, of a piece of content that you see written over and over again by advisors, that just keeps getting put out of there, that you just look at it and go, it's never going to work, and then what you would do instead?
Okay. The one I hate the most, I'll talk about that, is that they want to talk about doing a budget and cash flow. And it's going to be a really big generalization, but that's really good for poor people. Whereas wealthy people want to talk about where they can spend their money and how they can go about making more money so they can enjoy doing more of the things they like doing. So not many people enjoy doing a budget, but that drives me bonkers. That's probably the number one thing. And so they talk about, they want to write and promote cookie cutter approach to their content. So they go and their licensee might produce an article and they like and share it, and so is 50 other people. So Google doesn't like that. No one's going to read it, so you're wasting your time. So either do nothing or do something that's personal.
Yeah, I agree. I just say to people, there's a lot of people out there they go, I'm looking for a service who can write content. I'm like, they're gonna write a good article, but no one's gonna read it because it's not addressed to that person. It's not relevant. It's just generic, and for me, it's a complete waste of money. But there you go.
I also I've done a lot of personal development coaching. So knowing what people, there's 90% of our communication is done unconsciously. So I use a bit of that smartness or NLP in some of the content and processes we do. I also interview accountants and put that out as a video. We shot it ourselves, and that was one of the most successful things we've done that really spiked. So you don't have to spend much if you don't like writing, just go and record, and don't talk about you, talk about them.
Love it. In the recent memories, what have been the most well-read or successful pieces of content you put out? What have been the topics or the angle?
Yeah, probably those two, one interviewing the local, but also I wrote a piece about, which got a reaction, is that along those lines I was talking about before, instead of what are the 5 myths, I think it was 5 steps to financial freedom or something along those lines. And we talked about what are the learnings that we've seen in people and what has been some of the success. So, the most wealthy clients I've personally that I look after, I bought assets and held them for as long as they can. And their regret is they didn't buy more of them. And so I wrote something about that, whereas broke people, I wrote in this content, will always blame and point the finger at why it hasn't occurred. And then that was a good reaction on social media. Because they'll be like, it's not all about the money. And it was probably the same people that I was targeting that were reacting to the content. So I think...
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, that's probably the main. Then the most recent one I did, I think this is it. We talked about, so like in Newcastle, they like to have, walk the beaches here. They like to grab a coffee. So I was trying to link the coffee, the morning coffee experience to why they need to have the same with their financial planner. The ongoing relationship is where they value it. So I'm trying to write what I see as an experience as an advisor, put that into the content that they can relate to. So for example, if you went in, you like to go to your certain coffee shop, you like to have your flat white or long black, but if each day they turned up and gave you a turmeric latte, well, you wouldn't like that. So the advice relationship it's personal. So I'm trying to, draw on my experiences and understand what the clients enjoy and put that back out in content.
If you're an advisor and you listen to this and you realize, maybe you've had this realization that you are writing technical content that you know a lot about, but obviously most people aren't interested in, because otherwise there'd be more people sort of managing their finances better. What's the best advice you can give them just to flip their content over? What's the tidbits that they could just do, which would make a big difference?
Well, the best example I can give is that if you went and bought a new washing machine and they started explaining to you how the parts were sourced, they built it in China, they did all this research for 17 years on why it's the most economic washing machine. No one gives a shit about that. They buy outcomes. So talk about the outcome of your advice. So if that means that if you work with a client for 10 years, you can guarantee, as an example, you'll impact their retirement outcome by 1% per annum.
Yeah.
that is a better outcome. So they can resonate with that. That's a tangible thing that they can start to digest and understand.
Love it.
That's the number one thing.
So you're starting to play. You're starting to play with this stuff. You're starting to obviously get better. My guess is you're probably practicing it more and more. You're getting more comfortable. At what point did you realize that you were kind of getting the hang of it, and it was time to take it up a notch?
I guess probably, when you start to see you go, well, the more I write, and if we release this week, so we're trying to do monthly to start. So we started off at monthly content, and our goal for next year is to do daily content, which is a challenge. There we go. And we're launching a podcast and so forth to really take it to another level, which will be weekly. But when we're doing monthly, and it would work, and you'd see a spike in your analytics. So every month we look at our report that comes through from the fantastic team at the Measured Marketer, and we're looking and reviewing everything, the dollars spent versus the leads generated. It's data, and so rather than just going, oh yeah, we've had a shitty month, like what, I'm not going to keep spending it if it's not getting the results.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we refine, started to really click into gear. So I guess what I understood at that point, the more I did it, the more we got the results. So we went from monthly to weekly. We then got each of the advisors writing a piece of content a month, which we would then send to Measured Marketer, refine to make sure it's on point. And then we release that when we think it's right. And also understanding the cycle that I believe, April is a really shitty month. So we should almost have April off as an industry. January 1 to January 30 is when it goes bananas because people are trying to get their life in order, set New Year's resolutions. So to have content and campaigns ready to run in January.
Okay.
And July is also slow, whereas June's busy. So just understanding, and doesn't seem to impact what if we change our approach in those months. So pull back on, so that in those months, we pull back on the Google AdWords and save us some money and put it into the campaigns that we want to run.
So Alan's got a question, which is it's not necessarily deeply related to this conversation, but I'm going to get it in there because he's done me the honor or the courtesy of asking it. He wants to know, is your advice process itself digitalized? And I guess what he means by that is when someone comes in from one of your campaigns and they make contact, are you still having a digital engagement? Is it, they're filling in forms, and tell me if I'm wrong, Alan, it's online meetings, or the moment they reach out, is it human to human?
I'll answer that in two parts. So the first one thing we noticed on our website and the analytics, so people would get to the website, but they didn't want to ring. So as soon as we they didn't want to fill in the inquiry box. So as soon as we spent, I think it's $6 a month on You Can Book Me software, where they can book straight into our calendar system, that the meetings went through the roof. So it was one little investment of cost $6 a month. We've rolled that out for new clients and ongoing clients now. But what happens is that they go into that, they book the meeting, that's now fully automated. They then get a confirmation email with our FSG. The file is set up in our software Xplan by our team in the Philippines, and it's all automated. So that part is absolutely automated. And we also have a 15-minute, before they come in, we now book in a 15-minute Zoom meeting and record it to, I guess, position them what they're going to experience and what they need to bring. But the rest of it at this point, every meeting is run the same way. They have a 5-step meeting process. 5 steps we run through the meeting, and it's digitalized behind the scenes, but not in that client experience.
And that 5-step meeting is consistent amongst everybody in the business. They all follow the same framework?
Yeah, same. And that's our sales process effectively.
Yeah, beautiful. And then at what point do they sign up?
The client?
Yeah.
Yeah, so depending on the complexity and so they'll either be at the end of that first meeting, I would say most of them sign up, but not in every case we know the answers. So we'll scope the advice and the fee in that first meeting and allow them to engage.
Right.
They then pay, before we start work, they'll pay an engagement fee. That's decided by the advisor, but there's a minimum. And then in some cases, there's multiple meetings that are required, and we just charge a fee for the work that's in research phase.
Beautiful. Okay. Is that helpful, Alan? Hopefully I use this. Zoraida wants to know, So it comes to that one, Matt. First meeting, do you charge any fee for that?
No, we made a call. We tossed around that concept, but we wanted to offer something complimentary. I think there's two parts to that. One, that 15-minute phone call will tell us whether we're in or out. So, the reason we did it on Zoom, because people will make an excuse of the reason not to come to you for whatever reason. So regardless of the location, we do that. And the second part, we want to give an experience of what the advice industry is. And I think that's I took a view that I want to give back a bit. And we've been through a really shit time and we've got a really bad name through the Royal Commission. So how can we add value back to the industry, which is that the client comes in, we spend half hour, an hour and give back and help them in their life and move on. I think that's a bit of giving back and helping us. And we just ask them to do a testimonial or review instead.
I totally agree with you. I think as long as you got the right people, you get in the people in the room who you can help and you understand their problems. And if you can get them in and give them an hour-long thing, even if they don't sign up, but they leave clearer about, what they want, where they're at and what the issues are. I think if you're comfortable doing that and the clients are right, then yeah, up to that point, I think it's a good thing to do. David and Carl also want to know around fees. What do you charge? If you don't mind.
Yeah, our minimum advice fee is 6,000 plus GST for all clients, which effectively will cover about 3 to 4 areas of advice. And as we start to scope that out on complexity, we add a rough figure is about $500 per area of advice, such as estate planning or cash flow or an investment account or something. Each one has it.
Beautiful. Okay. Is that helpful? Can we dive into, there's a question from Daryl. I will ask this one because it's a good one. Marketing spend. Now we're going to dive into the Facebook and all the funnel. And ultimately, I think when you've got something that works, the next step is you need to spend a bit of money on it. A lot of people spend the money without working out what's going to work.
Yep.
And some people work out what works and they never spend the money. You're obviously at a place where you know what works. What is your, as a percentage of your revenue, what do you spend on marketing and maybe even what you spend on digital?
Good question. As a percentage, I have to now calculate that. So it would be, what's that one? About 2 to 3%.
2 to 3%. And that's marketing overall?
Yep. That probably we have. So effectively, I've got a lady, Stacey, works in here 4 days a week. So I've got her wage, and then you'd have your Facebook boost and the payment to our great friend at the Measured Marketer, and also the Google AdWords campaigns, which we spend up to $3,000 a month. That's included in that figure, but up to $3,000 a month on that.
Love it. Just in case we hadn't got that name in it enough, it was Measured Marketer, right?
That's right.
David wants to know, do you take insurance commissions and have a FUM or an agreed dollar amount? That's a good question, David. In terms of the fee.
Insurance commission, yes, we take that. And just how I position that, to talk about a success fee. So if we can get it over the line, we actually have we employed another good thing we did in our Erina office. We have an underwriter. So the insurance process isn't even commenced with the advisor. It's booked in with the underwriter to run through online or over the phone. That's sort of separating insurance, which is a boring, laborious question, 30 to 45 minute process, and really making the advice separate. And what was the other question?
FUM or is it a dollar amount?
No, it's sort of trying to stick it. The minimum is, and then we'll scale up on the complexity. So if they want direct equities or an ETF portfolio, or they've got multiple things, we'll just start building the fee accordingly. And
this kind of ties in. It's funny how these conversations, doesn't mean you talk about marketing, eventually pricing comes up. It's weird. Yep. Do you take it that as a dollar amount, and does it come out of the client's pocket, their cash flow, or how does that work?
So they'll pay, again, trying to play the game in 18 months, we're probably going to move to a system where they pay a lot of that fee themselves. I think ASIC will enforce this, if not the trustees, but anyway. So they pay a portion. They'll pay the fee proportionate to the advice. So if it's 50% investment advice and 50% super, that's how the fee will be charged.
Okay. Hopefully that's useful, guys. That's a whole bunch of information. It's interesting. We always end up talking about pricing. Like if you just get a number, that'll be fine charging it. But as we're going to find out, a lot of what happens prior to them coming in, that's what enables you to charge certain fees. You know, a lot of how you engage them. That's the thing, right?
Yeah, I got a tool that we talk about. So it's positioning. So how are you positioned? That's what your branding does. Gives you a positioning statement, and it's price, product, market, service. You need to have alignment on that. And so we talk about like when someone walks into our office here, they're greeted like a maitre d'. So we're not just a reception. They get up and greet the person, walk them in. There's a lounge for them to sit at. So all those little things are talking to them unconsciously.
Be interested to put it out. I always like to ask advisors, when was the last time you did a walkthrough of your experience? Like stepped outside and walked in as if a client would. Even better, get someone else and another advisor to do it for you, and then you do it for them. It's amazing how much information you got. And one of the most memorable periods, I walked into a business of a client that I was working with, and the receptionist she was behind this big, tall desk, and she literally walked out. She went over and said, "Stuart, I've heard so much about you. Welcome." Stepped out from behind the desk, and that small thing, it just blew me away. It's incredible, and set the scene for so much. Daniel, should we talk about the funnel? Because you've got marketing, you've got AdWords, you've got Facebook, you've got content marketing. And I think one of the dangers is people go, "Oh, I'm going to do more content marketing." But unless you plug the right things in the right order, you don't get people doing the right things at the right time, if that makes sense. Yep. So do you want to talk us through where this fits in terms of your funnel? How many phases does your funnel have?
Probably the number, like what we try to, I don't know if this will be exactly the right answer, but what we try to track is that so if we know we can get, we boosted ads and so forth to get our Facebook followers up, we ran a competition. So when we write content, we can boost that, and then we can track what's going through to our website. So where it's sourcing from, and obviously the Google AdWords and so forth as well. Okay. So it's probably the funnel. I could probably answer that really definedly in some of our other businesses, what we've done there, but just looking at the analytics and what's working and keeping to reviewing that. So I keep saying, when people ask me about the marketing, I say it's not a cost, it's an investment. And like any investment, you need a strategy. And keep on reviewing that strategy.
So you're running Facebook campaigns, and these are boosts, right?
Yep.
And I guess the proviso, this is really good content that's on brand, it's hitting things, and ultimately you're doing boosts, and that's attracting likes.
Yep.
And what's something that you would typically try and get someone to like? Is it just like our page, or is there something more to it?
Obviously we run, then you could have book now, complimentary meeting. So we run the different click buttons as well. Like recently we recruited an advisor, Janelle, who's, let's just say she's in how do I put this politely? She's in the twilight of career, and happy to acknowledge that. But she's fantastic, and she's come from the Commonwealth Bank. So if anyone knows, Commonwealth Bank's just turned off all their ongoing fees. They're sacking their advisors, making them redundant.
Giving them a copy of Who's Moved My Cheese, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So we ran, we promoting Janelle. We put her out in Hunter, the local publication, Hunter Headline. And then and all the people are starting to contact her. So, and people like and share that page. So then we're opening up her network to our brand. And obviously, she's said to me the other day, "Do you think clients or people see bank advisors differently to like us?" And I'm like, absolutely they do. I wasn't aware of that. And so some of her friends are now starting to say, "We'll come in and see you," because she's no longer associated with the bank. It's funny how we, as outside the banks, we would see that totally all the time, but they're naive.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Well, having worked
I'd say that's part of a strategy. Like the reason we brought her on, one, it adds a great addition to our team. And secondly, that there's all these advisors that can't find a home. So the client is used to going to seeing the bank. And if for some instance they see Janelle out there, that we might actually pick up others as well.
So there's real world stuff going on. There's networking. You mentioned partners. Tell me how the partners and the digital stuff fit together.
Okay, so some of the accountants that we work with, one of my concepts is when you build a relationship from networking or whatever it may be, it's about value, sell. So how do I add value to them? And that's the same with client, any relationship, I guess. But I want to showcase them as a business. I want to promote them, which allows them to distribute that through their network. Secondly, then, and if that's not a business relationship, you add value by giving them content that's relevant to them and keep building that relationship. We started a networking group called Beers and Business. That's been highly successful. So merging my two favorite topics and creating those relations, just create the relationship. And the accountants all refer to us, not because we've got an agreement in place or it's a revenue thing. They do it because they buy into our business and what we represent.
Gotcha. And when you do that, they're sharing your content?
Yeah. So then we recorded a video, which is about to be done with an accountant. Michael Hart is about to go climb Mount Kilimanjaro, Mark Hughes Foundation next week.
Wow.
And so, we're sharing stuff on his page. He's then doing stuff with a whole heap of, they've raised a crap load of money. And I showcased him and talked about him being resilient and what does resilience mean and how does he help his clients. It was really good. He was so petrified of doing it, but it's come up really good. And the benefit of that is that he's showcasing how he helps his clients. I'm not even talking about anything to do with what we do or financial planning. I didn't even talk about anything to do with me. But then they go and share that through their network. And I think that's some easy wins. And it might cost us probably $600 fully edited. Sorry. And again, adding value to them, and then we get the results later on. So it's an investment. I keep saying that word. An investment, and then if I ask them for a favor or we get them up and speak in front of our clients, just keep adding value everywhere we go.
And is it to add value to the clients or add value to them to begin with?
Add value to them. Yeah.
And
so
can you give me an example of the partnerships that you've got that have been most successful? What's the value that you bring to the table for them personally?
Well, last night I was having a conversation. They're like, I keep telling them what I'm up to, and they're worried about doing branding. They've got to rebrand their business, and they've got to go through the same exercise. So my value, I guess, there for them, if we're picking on this, is that I'm giving, and like I'm doing today, giving unconditionally. So I give away, knowing somewhere I'll give it back. So I'm helping them, and if that makes them more efficient, makes them feel comfortable to make a decision to improve their business, well, I think that's value.
I think Justine Musk, who was married to Elon Musk for many, many years, she was once on one of those Q&A things on Reddit. And someone asked her, what's the secret to being rich? And she said, being a billionaire. He says, it's really simple. If you want to be a billionaire, you've got to create billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of value for other people. If you do that, it'll find you. I think it's a really good philosophy to approach with partnerships, which is if you can go out and approach people and help them, most businesses, you'll trigger that reciprocity thing.
Yep.
Rather than going out and going, hey, can you send me leads? Which doesn't.
How about we set up a joint venture and I'll give you, I don't care about that. Especially if they're a wealthy individual, they don't care about that. They want their clients taken care of and they've got to trust you to do. I've got to say, be, do, have. So if you focus on how you want to show up, do what you need to do, you'll have what you need to have. And that's how I've run the whole business.
That and the fact that I'm not going to refer people to you because to do you a favor. I'll refer because I want to do them a favor, and I think you're somebody who can help them. That's the secret. The one thing, so we've got the real world stuff, which is driving people to the website.
Yep.
Facebook is obviously driving people either directly to a book now thing.
Yep.
Or it's going to the website.
Yes, to the website. So both will, either way, they've got a landing page with a Google, which will take you to the website, which lands on the book now, and a call to action straight away. Same with Facebook, it will do it, but I've noted probably Facebook has died. It's probably, I feel like it's lost its strength. Like you asked me a year ago, Facebook's is the one. So now we're sort of switching a bit to LinkedIn, and I guess they want to build my profile, which is exactly what I don't like doing, but now I'm having to go with it. And really the website and making it relevant, continuing to refresh and look at that. And we easily get to number one on the Google search term. So we know what people search for, then we make sure we're number one on those pages.
Let's talk about SEO. Sorry to interrupt you.
No.
AdWords is driving to the website, but a lot of what you mentioned is SEO, and SEO is it's like the dark arts. It's magic. People don't quite know what it is, right? And you can spend a lot of money on SEO if you don't know what you're talking about. So can you tell us what's important to you about SEO? And I think maybe even talk about the importance of the name of your business as it relates.
Okay. So, for example, when I'll use the Central Coast page as the number one. So, with Central Coast, I looked at that. That's where I'm from originally. So there's two parts to this. I went and looked at. I have a saying, another one. A lot of sayings when I look at it. Listen to myself. But attack your opposition's weaknesses. So look at who your opposition is, and on the Central Coast, there's no one that's local. So I talked, all the content is about being local, giving back. We, local. And secondly, I looked at all the, what could we call it, the business, and Central Coast Financial Planning Group would get us to number one on SEO without having to spend $1. So from my understanding, we haven't spent $1 on getting these SEO done.
Hold on. Financial advice is one of the most expensive keywords to buy.
Yep.
How on earth did you do that? I mean, actually, you don't have to tell us if it's a big secret, because that's a hell of a secret. But that's amazing.
So if you're in an area, all I would encourage you, go and do a population search. So figure out what's the population in that area. So if we picked, I don't know, a suburb, I got offered a business the other day, Ballarat. So I'd go and look at registering Ballarat Financial Planning or Financial Planning Group or Financial Planning or Financial Planners. That's going to help you get, and then have a landing page for your website that drives the traffic there. You then, instead of spending on the black art of SEO, that's going to do your job for you. Your grunt work's done.
Dude, that's worth a fortune. We might have to cut that bit of the webinar out when we put it on YouTube.
Yeah, cut it out. Rewind. Can you rewind?
Ladies and gentlemen, you are here. You've just had some phenomenal advice, and no one else is ever going to hear it. So thank you, Daniel. That's great. Carmen and is it
Jackie just falling off their chairs.
Yeah.
Sorry. Then the SEOs, and like one of the concepts we've got is, then how do you jump into the SEO content? And if we wanted to offer self-managed super fund advice all around Australia, we'd have to then start building that content. But there's some easy, cheap ways to get the SEO done. And just thinking about, again, the SEO and the content, adding in your page, for example, there's another easy win. That in your page, if it was Financial Planning Newcastle, instead of just saying we do superannuation advice, we do superannuation advice for Newcastle. That's some easy wins on SEO that we've picked up along the way.
That's good. It's amazing when you sort of get really interested in domains as well. What's out there? I managed to buy advicefirm.com.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, I'll have that. Dude, this has been incredible. And I've got one eye on the time. And I do want to give you sort of a bit of a sort of opportunity. Well, firstly, let's just say you're up for 2 awards, aren't you?
Yep.
Which of those awards?
So one's Regional Business Leader of the Year.
Nice.
Which is weird. I think I pride myself. I look back on this. I haven't yet won an award for being an advisor, but I really hold myself as a business person that does advice now. So to get that acknowledgement as a finalist in, it's just Australia-wide and business, I feel pretty chuffed at that. And then just with XY Advisor, I'm up for the marketing award there. So I recorded a podcast, listened to that. It's got a lot of this content on there, but really talking with Clayton was just saying how can I help you guys grow, adding value to them, because I really believe in that business model and changing the way advice is delivered. And so they're the two at the moment.
I'm doing a lot of work with Steve Crawford at the Advice Movement, and I think I love the fact that there are these movements coming up. And I think it's really encouraging. So yeah, it's good to be part of it.
Yep.
Is there anyone who's listening to this? Is it a vote thing? Can they go and vote for you, or is it not that kind of award?
You can on the XY one. You can. It was on LinkedIn. You can vote for me. That obviously it helps promote their business as well. So actually, you can get on XY Advisor Awards and vote for me. The other one's done by an independent panel. The final, it's on the 15th of November at Star City. I did get to pick the song if I win, so that was pretty cool.
I won't ask you what it is, but
but It's from one of my favourite bands, Grinspoon, so they might not let me play it.
I wanted to walk down the aisle to Another One Bites the Dust by Queen, but Rachel was like, that's not happening. This has been really good. I reckon we could go on for hours and hours. I'm going to ask a few more questions, but just in case people have to go, because we're coming up to the hour mark. Is there anything you want, like, if obviously, please everybody go on to LinkedIn, put in a vote for Daniel, because I think, I think what he's done is fantastic, and he's done it in such a quiet sort of just get down to it kind of way. So please put your vote in. But if people want to know more about you, and Justin just voted, nicely done, sir. If you want to know more about you, or is there something, that you'd like to offer or put out there?
Yeah, so absolutely happy to help. There is deep consideration to launching this as our own marketing business. In a discussion with someone if we do that, and really specialize for financial planners. So we might do that. We're about to launch a podcast of our own every week called Why Invest, and about giving content away about people that are successful in business. We've got Craig Rosevere, who's the drummer from the Screaming Jets. And so I said, I just want you to I'm just going to give him a list of my top 10 musicians we need to interview.
Love it.
No, he's got very connected, and we're hopefully launched with getting the Silverchair drummer, our bass player on, and talking. It's going to be hosted over a beer in this room here every week, and just exploring how people have been successful, and that gives us Australia-wide presence.
It's always fascinating when you dive into people's story, as we're doing right now. You sort of realize everyone sort of gets to the top level, but when you dive in, you realize that the nuts and bolts and what makes people sort of successful is usually more interesting, I think. A couple of questions that we got. Let's sign through them if we've still got a bit of time. Matt, I heard your question. I do want to come back to it. How long, in your opinion, should somebody invest in building a social media funnel and doing this stuff before they expect to see results?
Yes. Well, to go through when you engage a marketing specialist, they want to do everything that's in their land. They give you a very big map of what can conceive, and you're like, holy crap, that's a lot of money to invest. So, and that might be, they've got 6 events that you should run. So run one and see what the result is. One of the things, they won't like me saying this, but rather than just taking what they tell you as the gospel, challenge them. So you need to know what they're talking about. Otherwise, you'll be doing acronyms that you don't even know and understand and pay for. And I think the number one thing you'd start, once you've got your brand and you do the SEO, like understand where your place is, have some, just like you do with your clients, have some legitimate goals or expectations or benchmarks. And it doesn't have to be about the leads generated, but about getting your brand out. Then have we got better success? The inquiries we're getting, are we able to charge more fees than we were before? And then it might start to lead, results. But I would expect you would get some traction after 6 months. After 12 months, you're going to get some results, and you'll know what works and what doesn't. Yeah. And 18 months is when we probably really hit the gold mine in June, when it was 36 one. And they're good. It's just not crappy leads too, because you've invested in that brand and your processes and the content. The leads that are coming through are really good quality. Anyone can generate inquiries, but the quality.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. If you get this part right, you get clients coming and going, I know who you are, I know what you do. I want to talk about if you can help me. And it's a different conversation.
So the best experience out of that, I had a meeting done in 40 minutes, and paperwork signed, fee agreed to. Then just they'll sew in because of the way that was positioned.
That's good. So I mean, the whole thing is, if you're jumping in for 3 months and you're spending 10 grand a month on a marketing consultant, you're not going to last it, because it's going to take you longer. Find something. And it's the same if you're forcing yourself to sit down and write articles and it's taking you hours to edit them, you're not going to stick with it long enough. It's got to be something that's affordable, doable, and repeatable, I guess. Yeah. Matt, as another question, I think it was Matt Bruce. He said, no, it was Michael. If you were forced to focus on one channel for your marketing, just one channel, which one would you start with?
Oh, I would, at this point, again, if you asked me that before, I'd say Facebook. I'd say the Google AdWords.
Cool. And you would focus on that strategy?
Yep.
So just so I understand, if you're focusing on Ballarat, but you're located in Perth, is that a problem?
Yes, pick Fremantle financial planning instead.
Yeah.
No, yeah, pick a
Suburbs within your locality.
Yeah.
Yeah, people from Perth don't like to find out that you're not in Perth when you're talking to them.
And I think it costs now, but go and get the report and find out, do they search? So here I know it's Financial Planning Newcastle, not Financial Advisor. It's Financial Planning Newcastle. And the other one, a very, very popular giveaway is the number one search thing on our analytics is aged care advice. So we write about aged care, but it's like it ranks off the charts. You might not offer aged care advice, but write about it.
This is the key thing. I reckon if everyone takes one thing from this, it's stop thinking that what you want to write about is what you should be writing about, and use the data. Yeah. Write about whatever the keywords are, and you get the traffic. Write about what you want to, and you're putting it out there in the hope that somebody's interested in it.
Yep.
Cool. Couple more questions, and then we might sort of finish. The clients that you're bringing in, Glenn wanted to know, are they coming from cold traffic?
Cold traffic.
Yeah, I think what he means is, do you have a previous relationship with them? And I guess the point I'm gonna answer this. I guess the point we're trying to make so far is you're not trying to convert them instantly. Generally, people who are coming in and having appointments, they've been on your radar for a while. They've known about you for a while. Is that the point we're making?
Yeah. So they've got us, on the Central Coast. They're moving from Sydney, and the advisor stopped giving them advice, so they've got to find a new advisor. They ring up prepared to do business. So depending on where they are in the buying cycle.
Beautiful. Any other questions? If not, do me a favor. I personally, Daniel, this has been incredibly useful. I reckon we keep going. Thank you so much for sharing. Guys, put in the box, what's been the most useful thing that you've heard Daniel talk about today? I don't know about you. I have an above average need for feedback, so it's good to know. Alex says it's really good, even for non-financial planning related information. Yeah. I mean, the interesting thing about online marketing is it differs from traditional marketing in consistent ways. It's just that with advice, you've got a longer sales cycle and you've got a more sort of nervous audience. Justin says passion and energy is awesome. He's fired up. Nicely done, sir. Alex agreed. What else? What else has been useful? Julie, would love to hear from you. Kevin, ditto. Matt, Michael, Paul, Regis. Focus on the data, says Daniel. Yep. Let the data drive your decisions. Marketing timelines and what to expect has been useful from Elizabeth. I think the referral piece she also mentioned was really good. Carl says, congratulations, incredible success in a short time. Well, it has been like a 10-year overnight success story though, right?
Yeah.
Alex says having a plan over vision in 18 months time. Yeah, that was really useful. In other words, you're thinking about 18 months forward, not now. Daryl says fantastic webinar, a real success story using the people you want to serve. Sorry, that was fantastic webinar, a real success story using online marketing. Well done, Daryl. Thank you. David says keep plugging away and keep your focus on the people you want to serve. That's really good insight there, David. Tom says making your business brand everything align. Totally agree. Matt says regular and consistent works. Marketing is all about consistency. You disappear and literally the whole thing falls in a heap. Julie, same. Consistency is key. Dude, I've enjoyed this as much as I thought I would. Thank you so much. Any final messages you want to leave us with?
No, just, I'm still passionate about the advice industry. We've gone through a lot of change. I want to be the change, and I want to let it all happen around me. So we're active in what the world will look like in the next 12 months and 18 months. So, we got a great role, an honored role to help people, have their ideal retirement. And so I think we've got to remember that, and marketing is just part of what we do. Yep.
Perfect. I love it. Man, thank you so much, Daniel. It's been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully we get to do it again. Best of luck. I think a few people have voted for you in the XY, so I'm really hopeful that you pick up both awards. Would be really, really good.
It'd be cool to do. Yes, absolutely.
Fun. Hey, everybody. Thank you once again. I hope you enjoyed it. For those of you I'm seeing next week in Melbourne for the Accelerator, really looking forward to that. Get your pre-work done. Other than that, everybody have a great weekend. Whatever you're doing, make it a good one. And Daniel, once again, thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks, Stu.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.